Good morning. Good morning, everyone. This is your homegirl. Uh, yeah, Barbosa 914, Western County, New York. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the YouTube streets. Now, I know I've scheduled this live for the first one I scheduled was like for 4 o'clock in the morning. And when I scheduled it again, I said 6. I said, let me go a little bit early. Okay. Yeah. Let me go a little bit early on these YouTube streets. Hold on, you guys. Yeah. And it is hot outside. Yo, it rained yesterday, you guys. It rained. So, you know, I know it's not going to be a good day. See, it rained yesterday. Yesterday was still a part of the holiday. And I thought about it. I said, why am I going to walk all the way downtown this morning when I know that they be very slow on Mondays? So I decided not to take that chance and walk down there for nothing. Usually on Mondays it's slow, and if I try the other place this morning, it's going to be slow as well. So I'm just going to stay home and do what I need to do around here. I got to go to the store later, you know. So it is what it is. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. This is your homegirl. Arabia Barbosa 914, Western County, New York. Yo, today is Monday. So this is what? Messy Monday. Messy Monday. Because you know how these YouTube streets are. You know how these YouTube streets have been for the last couple of months. You know, we already see that the takeover, Garrick and what's that dude name? Count Cookie. Garrick and Count Cookie, their takeover program is being dismantled and destroyed by different YouTube creators on these YouTube streets. And this is why I'm saying that today is Messy Monday. Because you know, whatever didn't happen this weekend, getting ready to happen today. Let's say that again. Whatever didn't happen this weekend is getting ready to happen today. Now, I was on the YouTube streets yesterday, you guys, before I went over and started looking at movies. And I saw that Dr. Umar's daughter was on the YouTube streets. And she was expressing herself in a way I've never seen her express herself before. It kind of shocked me. It kind of surprised me. You know what I mean? And she is like in her 20s. I believe she's from Philadelphia. And she seems to be a nice young lady. So I'm not going to get up here and drag her and talk negative about her. I have no desire to talk negative about that young woman. It's not going to help nothing. It's not going to help the world spin. It's not going to make Dr. Umar stop his speaking engagements and go to his daughter's aid. So I'm just going to let bygones be bygones, and whatever happens, happens. You know what I mean? Everyone needs to give this young woman her space. You know, we got some YouTube creators love to judge people. They love to judge people. But before you point your finger at her, you need to point those same fingers back at yourself. Okay? I'm not going to get up here and judge nobody. If I want to judge someone, I want to judge myself. mostly when I come on this bitch, on these YouTube streets, on this bitch, in my studio, is but basically to talk about me. Because I'm the most important person in the world anyway, to myself. Okay? I know I don't mean that much to other people. You know what I mean? And I see how people pick and choose who they really fucking support on this app. I saw that over this weekend. But then my people came over and they supported me in the best way they could. And I have to tell them thank you and appreciate what they do for me, because really nobody has to do anything for me. You know what I mean? Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. But I know now, I know now what to do next time. You know what I mean? There are some people's chats you're not going to be able to type into unless you're a member over there. Well, I believe like this. I have assisted these people long enough. Let's say that once again. I have assisted these people, supported these people long enough. When they going to stop begging? You got mugs on here that are monetized. They're getting money. They're getting money from these YouTube streets, because while the video is running and they're doing their content, here comes the ads. Here comes the little commercials. Okay, so you know they're getting paid. Okay? But I have yet to see any YouTuber get paid like the way I've seen Hassan Campbell get paid. Shout out to chat. And that's reality. That's reality. Because I remember when he first came to these YouTube streets, he had one channel only. He started off with his little phone. Then he moved on to a camera. And then I don't know how he was starting to pick his subjects or what to talk about, but he would turn on the camera and just start talking. You know what I mean? And then along with the money came his problems. All right, he already had personal problems of his own. He already had some struggles of his own. But when the money came, certain attention came, and we all seen what happened to Hassan Campbell. He couldn't handle the attention. He couldn't handle certain situations. You know what I mean? So the YouTubes started taking over him, just as the YouTubes took over Tommy Sotomayor years ago. I remember when Tommy first started out in that little room. It was him, the desk, his camera, and he was doing his videos. And I remember he used to have his daughter Alex in the videos with him. As time moved on, things started changing. Tommy started getting bigger. Tommy started becoming more known. Tommy's videos became more controversial. The more controversial he became, the more popular he became. He became popular very quickly. It took a good 8 years. And in the 8 years, Tommy was able to destroy his own self because people started hating on him, started blaming him for certain things. I remember now, I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna take it back. Because I'm gonna go back in my memory. Here we go. 2015. I was working for Bojangles. I remember where I was living. I was living here in South Carolina, but it was not Charleston, South Carolina. Not yet then. Shout out to the chat. I remember when Tanya TKO became homeless. She left from New York and went all the way to California. She went in the area where they kept the YouTube headquarters. She went down there a few times. And I remember her being in her car all the time. I remember her going to the gym all the time. I remember there was one particular night she was driving in a certain area. I think it was gang infested with the Crips. Tommy was looking at the video. Tommy saw which area she was in. The very next day, Tommy got on his YouTube channel, blasted his people, which was us, Soda Nation, and blasted Tanya TKO's fans. Okay? Blasted both nations because he said he was watching as she was spiraling, and people started donating to Tanya TKO before Tommy did his video. And she asked her people to hit her GoFundMe. Child, let me tell you something. They raised over $12,000 in 3 days. But before they reached that goal, Tommy Sotomayor had also donated. I remember Tommy used to bail people out of jail that was beefing with him. You know, shout out to the chat. I remember those days. And I know other YouTube creators remember it as well, because plenty of you was there during that time. 2015. I'm talking about 2015. Now let's come to 2017. That's when I first started doing videos. But I was unknown then. Unknown. But I kept going, I kept going, I kept going. Then I said one day something, say, use your family last name. Arabia Barbosa de Souza was born. And then that's when I met other YouTube creators in this sector. Shout out to the chat. I'm not looking at the comment section right now. I'm going back in memory lane. I'm going back as far as I can, so people will understand how I came into the sector and why I'm don't plan on leaving this sector anytime soon. Shout out to the chat. Unless something terrible happens. A shout out to the chat. Today is Messy Monday. Yesterday it rained. So it rained the day before. I already know how the job gonna go on Monday. It's that slow. The rain happened yesterday. Ain't too much gonna be popping. So I'm in the house right now. Don't worry. I'll find plenty to do. And plus I gotta go check on my applications. So I'm kind of glad I'm staying home, because today is the day I have to go and check on my applications. A shout out to the chat. And there's another place I have to go today. So my day is going to be full anyway. Tomorrow we'll start again. Tomorrow will be Terrible Tuesday. We shall start again. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. So I remember when Tanya TKO was homeless, became displaced from New York to California. I also remember she was very good at speaking Spanish. I also remember she used to always like to go to the hostels and stay, when she would visit certain places. Because she used to leave the country very often. I don't know what she does now. I think I'm subscribed to her now, but she doesn't do as much as she used to do back then. Back then, Tanya TKO was on these YouTube streets over 8 years. I think her, Cynthia G, and Tommy Sotomayor was on the YouTube streets a long time when I met them. When I came upon these YouTube streets, I was introduced to this app in 2013 by my cousin, Shakia Davis. We both lived in Yonkers at the time, and she used to always watch YouTube. And I was like, why is she watching YouTube so much? What's going on this YouTube? Now, I've seen YouTube before, but after she showed it to me, that's when I started watching YouTube. I knew they had movies there. I knew they had music there. And that's how we came to know who Tommy Sotomayor was. And he used to always talk about the BT 1000 and about the hair hats and blase. And as he was talking, I said, wait a minute now. He talking about black women in a disparaging way. Then I thought about it. I said, yo, Ray, you got a criminal record, right? Ray, you experienced certain things in your life and you became emotional and enraged, and you wanted to take out your revenge on the whole world, and some people got hurt in the process. So, oh Lord, I went to the mirror and I said, I am the BT 1000. I wasn't a hair hat because I don't wear wigs or front laces or extensions or anything like that. I used to wear my hair long, but then I would look at the hair and I would be like, oh, I hate this hair. I hate it. So that's when I started cutting my hair. That's when I went to prison, I really learned how to chop it off. When I got out, I continued to keep my hair shaved. Sometimes I'll go on camera and shave my hair. I've been bald-headed for a couple of years now. Every now and then I'll let it grow back out. But then I'll look at it again and be like, yo, it's getting, nah, man, nah. I remember one time I did let it grow out when me and Birdman was together. I let it grow out long enough where I could get braids and cornrows in it. But then after a while, I said, fuck this shit. I'm going to cut all this shit off. And I cut it. And I've kept it in a dark Caesar for years now. Shout out to the chat. But I'm just running down memory lane, how I became who I am in real life and who showed me the mirror about me. About me. Not about nobody else. When Tommy showed that mirror, he wasn't talking about Sister T. He didn't talk about Queen Regina. He didn't talk about brown skin Lady Moonlight, 504, none of them. He wasn't talking about none of those women. He was talking about me. And I answered the call. And after a certain time, I looked at the name Arabia Barbosa, and I said, you have used your grandmother's maiden name long enough. Take her name down and put the real name on there. And that is Arabia, the BT 1000. The Jeeper Creeper on this shit. Lucy the Vampire. The German Shepherd. And And that's a reality for me. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the motherfucking chat. Shout out to the YouTube streets. I see we got some ghost whisperers in the chat. We got watchers in the chat. We got tree watchers in the chat. We got the clouds in the chat. I am the whisperer. Welcome to Arabia. BT 1000 house. Welcome to the royal house of the BT 1000. Welcome to the sector of the BT 1000. Are you a Jeeper Creeper? Are you a BT 1000? Are you? I don't know. But a lot of you empathize, you sympathize with who I am and what I am. Yeah, a lot of people have common ground with me on this app, in this sector. And a lot of you are afraid to admit it to the rest of the world. But there's going to be one day you're going to admit it to yourself. And you're going to come from behind those bushes and you're going to type into the chat and you're going to hit the link and you're going to tell your story. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to these messy Mondays. Good morning, Tesh. Tesh, you've had a busy weekend, have you not? I think Sis went live last night. Sis stayed live for a long time. Shout out to you, Tesh. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to those that support this channel. Like and share the video. Like and share the video. I don't know if anyone else have seen those, I don't want to say they're commercials, but every time I'm getting ready to turn on YouTube, it shows the stimulus, some kind of stimulus Donald Trump is supposed to be sending everyone. I don't know if it's the same stimulus, like, because I remember when he sent out the coronavirus stimulus checks back in 2020, 2021, something like that. I remember he had did that. And some people never claimed their monies. I don't know if it's for that or if it's for a brand new stimulus. I don't know. Shout out to the chat. I hope it's for a brand new stimulus. Yeah, your homegirl could use that money. Shout out to the chat. Yes. But Tess, thank you for coming in. Good morning. I know it's early in the morning, you guys. So whoever's not here will catch the playback. And I thank everyone that come over and visit with me, that support this channel. And today is Messy Monday, so I'm running down memory lane. Shout out to the chat. I'm talking about what happened in 2013. I'm talking about what happened in 2015. I'm talking about how Hassan Campbell came to these YouTube streets in 2017. I think he started off on Facebook first. Okay, shout out to the chat. And as we go down the line, I talked about Tanya TKO, Cynthia G, how I became Arabia Barbosa de Soda, and then I changed the name from Barbosa de Soda to Arabia Barbosa, 914 New York. Then I changed it again from that to Arabia Barbosa, and now lastly I've taken on the true persona of Arabia Barbosa, who was shown to me in the mirror years ago by Tommy Sotomayor. And there's a few others that crossed my path that showed the mirror. And I didn't become petrified by my own image. I just accepted it. And I was like, yeah, this and that happened to me. So as time went on, I started realizing how I was becoming embittered by my own experiences and circumstances. I can't change the past, and the past certainly cannot change me. Not from who I am now. I'm 52 years old. It took quite some time for me to formulate who the fuck I was. I was the BT 1000 when I was young. This didn't just start. My journey started when I was 9 years old. That's when my journey started. When I started being faced with certain things that adults have to face. I remember going to school, and I remember going to elementary school in Westchester County. I was in second grade when this happened. I'm going to take you back. And there was this teacher I had, and she said, I want everyone to write an essay, because she was big on everybody writing essays. Excuse me. She said, write about what you're most afraid of. What is your biggest fear? I want you to write this essay. Shout out to the chat. I feel you, Tess. I feel you on that one. I can sympathize with that. I know how them churches operate. But let me carry on about this essay I wrote as a second grader. I believe I was 8 years old when I wrote this essay. And the title of it was, What is My Biggest Fear? And then I wrote what my biggest fear was. You know, I wrote that essay years ago. I was still in elementary school. I did not see that essay again until 2002 because my adoptive father pulled it out. He showed it to me. He said, I want you to read what's on that paper. And you know what I wrote? I wrote, my biggest fear was that I was going to get big. I was going to become an adult, that my parents would get old, get sick, and die, that I would be responsible for voting, working, paying bills, mortgage. Now, these are the things an 8-year-old child wrote about. And he said, you wrote that years ago, Arabia. Even though you wrote it years ago, he said you wrote this when you were still 8 years old. When he handed me that piece of paper, you know how old I was? I was 29 years old when he handed me that piece of paper. I didn't know then I was going to go on a journey that I probably would never come back from. Didn't know. Around that same time, I had left, went, got my own apartment. I was living in Greenville, South Carolina at that time. I left from Greenville, South Carolina. I went back to New York. I stayed in New York until 2011. I came back to the South in 2011, August of 2011, because of what happened in Newport News, Virginia. I knew then, around that time, that whatever was happening on the inside of me was starting to come on the outside, you know? Because remember, I had already been to prison. I did my prison time from 1995 all the way to 2001. I maxed out. I didn't get probation. I didn't get parole. I went for parole every year, but I kept getting turned down by the parole board. And they said it was because of my institution record. I was a troublemaker then. Okay. So I've always been someone that sought out trouble, difficulty, you know? Shout out to the chat. That became my life. And when he showed me that piece of paper of an essay I wrote years ago, I said, you know what? That sums up a lot of my attitude. Even now, when I think about it, I'm 52 years old now, and there's a lot of shit I think about. I said, oh shit. And such a year, this happened, that happened, the other thing happened. So I was already being cultivated, molded, and shaped into what I am today. The BT 1000. Ratchet. And when I want to be, dirty. And there is a spirit of corruption. There is a spirit of that. Wrongdoing. You do something wrong, you try to make it right, you know it's wrong, but you like, fuck it. Who gonna do, what is somebody gonna do to me? That's the first thing you ask yourself. What's somebody gonna do to me? What they gonna do? Shout out to the chat. Yeah, but sometimes you have to go back in memory lane to find out who the fuck you are and how you came to be. Because there's a lot of people on this app that's in denial. They're in denial about who they fucking really are. They're in denial. I've never was in denial. I always knew who the fuck I was and how I came to be here. How I came to be here. I didn't get here by myself. I had a lot of help. A lot of help. People say, well, babe, you're no longer homeless. No. Physically, no, I'm not. But elsewhere, mentally, I'm still in certain places. Like if certain stuff happens on this app that reminds me of certain things that occurred when I was younger, yeah, I'm going to relive that. It's no escape. And if there's no escape for me, there could be no escape for anyone else. So if you become an enemy of mine, you stay my enemy. You know what I mean? For real. But there's a reason why those people are the enemy now. You was my friend in the past, but now you're my enemy today. Same thing with a relationship. The person that you love so much or that you value so much is the same person that can actually destroy your life. That's why you got to be careful of people. You got to watch people. You got to listen for the key words, because keywords are important. They are important. You have to look for red flags. There is no safety. There's none. You can build a wall all you want. The wall can't keep everyone out. It keeps you in. It keeps you in. Just like Donald Trump. He's wishing to have certain people deported from this country. But if he looks in his own home, those people are children of immigrants. He is the grandson of immigrants. People not originally from the United States. He is not a 5-generation New Yorker. He's not none of those things. So he doesn't belong here. So while he's deporting the Latinos and the Haitians and this one and that one, he needs to be deporting a lot of these European illegal aliens. And look at your own front doorstep. The grave he is digging for other people, he himself shall fall into it. You shall fall, sir. You will fail. The man is like Hitler. All over again. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. And a lot of you black people, you voted in this clown. You too shall pay. Soon come. You will pay for your crimes. You will pay for your mistakes. I thought Elijah Muhammad warned all of us not to participate in the bullshit and the shenanigans of this country. You see what's going on in Africa? The different African countries are coming together. They're uniting. They have ended their relationship with Europe, certain powers of Europe, and the United States. Donald Trump is seeking to destroy anything that is foreign and anything that is of God, the universe. We, being black people in this country, has faced so much. It's become a part of our DNA to deal with it. Either to fight against it, because we did that during the 60s. I still say we should have joined up with our enemy, with the United States enemies, and we could have won this war a long time ago. We could have won this war during the 1960s. We could have banished our own enemies if we would have took up those arms, those guns that called to war back then. Shout out to the chat. Instead of being sprayed with fire hoses and dogs being sucked on us and being put in jail for marching for civil rights. And the whole world was watching. The whole world was watching America. Then there were different countries that were enemies of the United States, and they reached out to the black leadership in this country and said, here, we will give you these guns. You're not going to get your civil rights by marching and protesting. You're going to get it by fighting your own revolutionary war. We will sponsor the war. The black leadership back then said, no, that's okay. That's all right. We don't need those guns. We don't need to stand up and fight. There's a wind coming. We might as well face it. We're in the last days. We're gonna fight the apocalypse whether we want to or not. And the most luckiest people are those that are already dead and gone. No wonder I wrote that essay when I was 8 years old, because at 8 years old, I could see the troubles that was happening in this world. I was already being faced with certain things that adults had to go through. At the age of 9, I really started experiencing. I started making certain decisions of what to do. Believe it or not, the 9-year-old controlled whether I had children or not. And as I got older, different ages, certain decisions started being made. I was being cultivated then. I can talk about my savagery, or I could talk common sense to the everyday working man and woman, the everyday Joe and Jane. We got a millionaire in our midst, Kwame Brown. He's here amongst us to play Squid Games. He has no respect for any of his supporters. He has no respect for any of his subscribers, none. Tommy Sotomayor warned all of you in 2021, and you refused to listen to him. You refused. That's why we have different fractions within the sector. That's why the Kwamites are here. That's why the rabbits are here. That's why the snipers are here. That's why the outlaws are here. That's why there's different other groups. And there's one sector on this app. You should have listened to the voice of Tommy Sotomayor. But now, some of you sought to destroy Tommy. Some of you was on the front lines against Soda Nation. That's why Soda Nation, when all of you will no longer be here anymore, Soda Nation will be here. We will take back our sector. It belongs to us. It never belonged to any Kwamite. Some of you have seen the light and you have left from his embrace. But still, you should have listened. Then you would have never went through the bullshit you went through on this app. You could have saved yourself a whole lot of trouble and a whole lot of heartache if you would have got rid of that nigga when he first appeared. Now you got to work on him. Now you got to work on Garrett. Now you got to work on Predator 101. Predator 101 should have never been welcomed in this fucking sector. As soon as his report was read, he should have been shunned then. But no, a lot of you men took his side. Yes, you did. Come on now, don't shake your head. No, yes, you did. You're in denial. It was the women that was speaking up against Predator 101, Count Cookie. That's why I said it's too many jock strap string brothers in the sector. You got too many men protecting the nuts and the ball sacks and the penis areas of different men in the sector. And that's reality. You know I'm telling the goddamn truth. And the truth will never die. The truth will never be silent. You should have gotten rid of KB and those Quamites when they first appeared. You see what happened when he no longer has a use for you, what happens to you? There was only 2 male YouTube creators that went against Kwame Brown, and that was Tommy Sotomayor and Hassan Campbell. The rest of you stayed silent until it was too fucking late. Then you had to separate. Then some of you found you had to separate from him. You wouldn't have had to separate from him if you would have got rid of him in the first place, when he started first collecting money from you. He already had your support. If he had your support, he had your heart, he had your love, he had your belief in him, and he destroyed that, didn't he? He shattered that, didn't he? He didn't bring nothing new to you. One thing I can say about Tommy Sotomayor, he ain't never lie. Not to me. Now, shout out to the chat. Y'all have an awesome day, because you know I'm telling the truth. And I'm going to keep saying it. Every chance I get a chance, I'm going to press that live button, and I'm going to keep talking my shit. I'm going to keep telling the truth. I'm going to keep talking about how KB came to this fucking YouTube streets and how most of you accepted him. You were wrong. Dead ass wrong, and you know it. That's why you got homies over hoes over here. You got the jock strap brothers over here. You got all these different groups in the sector. And people want to get mad at Ronald Jones for being who he is. I don't agree with Ronald Jones all the time, but I do remember when we all was fighting against KB, how big our numbers was. And then as time passed, certain ones started turning on each other. Watch that too. Biz 101 should have never been given any kind of grace. You guys said that he hid his jacket from you, but when Armando Black read the charges on this man's jacket, you guys didn't listen. Miss 504 read what was on this man's jacket. You guys didn't listen. Some of you still wanted to be his friend. Now you're finding out you should have never been friends with him, right? How you feel now? You got egg on your face now, right? Shout out to the chat. And that's reality. Y'all keep living in a fantasy world. Because when you come back to your real life, when you wake up from your sweet dreams are made of these. When you wake up from your sweet dreams, will you wake up to a nightmare or Terramare, or will you just simply wake up? Because we're all caught in the matrix. We're all caught in the in between. We're all ghosts on this app. We don't know each other. We don't. How many of you have actually met each other from off this app? I know that me personally, I don't have a problem with the rabbits, but I know that there are certain people in the rabbit nation that don't like me at all. Don't like me at all. I know that there are some. Not all, but there are some. And if you ask them why you don't like Arabia, they don't have no real reason. Did I steal money out of your purse? Did I steal any of your loved ones? Did I burn down your house? Did I rob you of anything? No, you don't like me because you don't like the fact that I'm outspoken. You don't like the fact that I got my own mind. You don't like the fact that I don't want to be a follower like you. That's why I'm not liked. I don't care. You don't have to like me, but you better fucking respect me. And a lot of you are cowards. You can make your own channel and talk your own ish, but you're too fucking afraid to do it. I've been doing videos for a long time, longer than some of you have been on this app. Shout out to the chat. I've been here. So don't tell me nothing about me. Nobody on this app can tell me nothing about me. You might get me to agree with certain things you might say, but I know those that truly disagree with me like that have a deep-seated root hate. And I don't give a fuck. Keep hating. Because your hate doesn't stop nothing. You keep being a fool. Anyone that hates me is a fucking fool, and they hate their own goddamn selves, and that's real. Now shout out to the chat with that. Nini kuzimu kila wakate kuja na mimi kula chakula miji baridi. You are food to me. You are food. Shout out to the chat.